A little different vibe than the last few years in athletics, huh? Ah, that's good for swimming.
Go ahead with some opening statements about the upcoming ACC and then, of course, the NCAA's.
Sure, sure. Yeah, exciting time of the year for us. Finally, we get to, postseason for us. I feel like people always ask me, when is the season? When do you start? And pretty much when we arrive upon school, we start training and we start competing in early October, and we compete all the way through the end of March, right? So it's the collegiate season it's a long one for us. We know it, we prepare for it, and our ultimate goal, I think, has been the track record of our program, is to be at our very best when our very best is needed, and that's now, ACC championships and ultimately NCAAs. Our ultimate goal is NCAAs. That's been how we feel like we've been measured as a program, and when you look at it, the track record's pretty good. I think 8 of the last 9 seasons, the women have been in the top 8. That includes 2 top 4 finishes, and the men, the last 5 seasons, we've had 2 top 5 finishes. So that's our target right now. We always talk about the next most important thing is ACCs now. So that's our focus, and it's going to be a bear, right? I don't know how much that has impacted different sports, but in swimming, you add in California and you add in Stanford, 2 programs that have been perennial powerhouses for decades. So you're really looking at a situation where 5 out of programs in the ACC are in the top 10 currently. I think if you look at last year's NCAAs, 4 were in the top 6, and 5 in the top 10. So it's we've been saying internally it's NCAA 1 and NCAA 2. One happened to be in Greensboro, and the next one will be in Seattle. But the competition will be extremely high level, and we look forward to it. I think that's what we've done best. Every time we've been able to elevate the competition level, whether now dating myself here from Conference USA to Big East to ACCs, and now it's the new ACC, which is a really different level. So exciting times. We know we have to be at our best. So I think our kids are well prepared. It's been a fantastic season. I think it was one of the very first times that the women are undefeated at home, undefeated in dual meets. Pretty special. It's a fantastic group. I'm a little bit biased on this one because my daughter is one of the team captains, and it's her 5th year. So it's emotional. It's the last year that we're gonna have an Albiero kid, wearing a Louisville cap. It's been over 13 years or so. So, but it's been fun to really work with this group. Practice have been a lot of fun. They understand. It's an experienced group. The young guys have done a really good job of coming in and plug and play. And now it's time to as we've been saying, it's time to put our work on the board, right? So we'll look forward to it.
When you look at the rankings, I think I counted 8 in both the men and the women from the ACC in the top 25. And like you said, 4 in the top 10 in the women, or 5 in the top 10, I think, in the women.
5 in the top 10, yep.
And maybe 4 in the men. How do you go? I know the expectation of this program and where your mindset is, but how do you prepare for the meet and say, okay, we just have to do our thing? Kind of how do you get that mindset over them when it is like an NCAA?
For sure. Well, in our sport, right, it comes down to, we could be argue about every sport. It comes down to a couple little things here and there, right? For us, it's the hundreds, right? And I think that's, it's the nature of our sport. You're focused on the task at hand, and we always joke, but there's a lot of truth to this. You swim in your own lane, and I told the team on a team meeting a couple of days ago, I called Greensboro Aquatic Center, and they confirmed the pool is 25 yards. So, and I think it's just part of the mindset. I think it's something that we've done really well, especially, at NCAA level, to show up, have fun. Right? There's a high-level correlation. Teams tend to perform better when they're having fun. And so that's our number one goal, to go in there and have a lot of fun. And I say that not cheaply, but swimming fast is a lot of fun. Performing well when it counts the most is a lot of fun, right? So that's our number one goal, just to do the things we do best. Also knowing, again, statistically, I'm a numbers guy, so you got men and women, 36 swimmers, 3 events each. It's 108 opportunities, right? And the likelihood is, statistically speaking, there's going to be some things over here and there's going to be some things over there. And it's just part of how we deal with the ups and downs of a competition, right? Really a 5-day, it's a 5-day battle. It's closer to a boxing match than really, you think of a sprint swimming, it's a 50. Well, it's a 50, but there's so much more that goes into it. And then you're talking about a 5-day meet where they have to be really darn good for all 5 days. So that's our mindset. The power of the next. No matter what happens here on this particular race, there's another one coming, and there's next. Focus on that.
Arthur, you talked about having 13 years, I think, of Albieros on your team. What is it like now, kind of wrapping that up with Gabby?
Yeah, it's to be honest, we haven't spent a whole lot of time, right, really going down that can get a little emotional. I think I'm just so proud of my kids, and somebody asked me this a while back, and even in recruiting, like, did I always know my kids were going to swim? No. Right, there was a picture floating around. My wife posted on Facebook of, the kids were little when we first got here, and Gabby was wearing a little cheerleader outfit, and the boys, I think, were getting ready to go to a game, and they were little kids, right? And so no, I didn't know, but I always had this filter in my mind. That was kind of my thought process. If I wanted to build a team here that if and when my kids were at that level, that it made sense for them to join. That I could be really proud as a parent, right? That I know the people they're going to be associated with, and I can say that many years later now, I'm very proud that all 3 of my kids have gone to school here at U of L. They've had phenomenal experiences. They've been challenged academically. They're doing well in life. They're going to be winners in life, and this setting, this environment has really contributed a ton for that.
Can you go through on the men's side maybe some individuals that you expect big things from? I know you got a bunch of guys, but
Yeah.
maybe some of the top guys or relays.
No, that's good. Yeah, I think we've been playing with our relay combinations a little bit. We had an unfortunate injury to one of our top backstrokers, and he's been out for the year now, so we had to re-scramble a little bit, reorganize a couple things, put a new guy that's probably going to freshman that's going to play a huge role in that. So, I would say Guy Brooks has had a phenomenal season, really breakthrough improvement as a junior. He's been getting better and better, but I think what we've been able to do this year shows. Down low as a 5th-year team captain, has been a phenomenal leader. Murillo Sartori, Olympian. Again, a guy as a senior. There's something about a senior year that tends to get people really moving. So I would say, obviously Dennis Petrashov. Top 3 at NCAAs here a couple of years ago. Just came back from Short Course Worlds. He was 4th place, just missed a medal. A guy who's improved a ton, even on his 5th year. So I feel like that combination with some of the younger guys, and you also have a kid like Tommy Breed, who is a redshirt junior, who I really feel like is coming to his own after a phenomenal summer got Olympic trial finalist in the 400 IM. In multiple events, also top 16, 200 butterfly, 200 breaststroke. And so these guys are coming. I would say Greg Enoch, freshman who was on the U.S. junior national team. Again, learning his way and really a kid that, young man that we have great expectations just because we see what he can do every day, And I'll add one more, Jake Eccleston, breaststroker. Again, one of the top kids in the class in breaststrokes. And Jake's been quiet all season, not unusual for a freshman. Learning the way, but, we're excited to see what he can do here coming up.
I guess over the course of the last few years, we've talked about this a little bit, but your diving has improved so much. You talk about that, especially on the women's side. I know Lindsay got, I think, Diver of the Week a couple times this year, and I know you're very competitive now in that. Yeah,
and that's first and foremost, thank you for that question. It's a great testament to our diving coach Ryan Rojo, and really who built the program and has done a phenomenal job of finding the right people that fit our culture, right? And I think he always says that he tries to build the diving program a lot like what we've done in the swimming. Good people willing to partner with us, and they've done a great job. So, yeah, I think, we go into this meet, and the ACC format, you go 18 swimmers and 3 divers. And actually, I was one of the proponents of that format to protect diving. And, at the time, we really didn't have the diving program that we have today, but that was the hope, ultimately, that we could build to that. And I think I like this group, right? And I think on the men's side, we're bringing a couple freshmen that I think, again, freshmen are freshmen, but we feel like they have, great opportunities in front of them. And on the women's side, to your point, Lindsay, as a senior, has really stepped up in some key moments. And also as a leader, I think that group sometimes a small group, but it's a tight-knit group. They do a lot of things together. They practice at the same time, and they're sharing a little board, right? So they're just taking turns, and they hang out quite a bit. So diving in its own machine compared to what happens in the swimming world, and but certainly those guys contribute greatly, right? And we look forward to it. I'm a fan. I can't say that I understand a ton. Obviously, as a head swimming and diving coach, I'm very well aware. But I leave the expertise to Coach Ryan, the job that he's done, including creating putting some All-Americans in the last few years.
Coach, relays at big meets like ECC and NCAA's, it's a big chance to earn a ton of points, and we've always done super well in the relays. Is there any different strategy now that it's going to be such a crowded, the podium is going to be pretty crowded at the top? We take a lot of pride in our.
Absolutely. Thanks for that question. Yeah, relays. That's how we built the program, right? And the relay is the ultimate team moment in an individual sport, right? So I think our group has done a really good job, and that's the benefit of having a little bit more depth in some of those key events that impact relays. It's we have different combinations that we can go to, right? And it's very possible that we have a certain combination at ACCs, and we might tweak a couple things going forward, So, but I think, to your point, Nancy, that the podium at ACCs is probably going to mirror what you're going to find at NCAAs, especially in the sprint events, men and women, women for sure, right? It's I think for us more than anything, there's a couple things, right? And one of the things we were literally just looking at this morning is like, okay, it's a time final event now, right? Many years ago, NCAAs used to be you swim the prelims just like any other event, top 8, advanced top 16, if you will, B final, A final. Now it's a time final event, so we pay attention to the lane, right? For example, our women's 200 medley relay is seated 8th. Now that's the time from the dual meet a couple weeks ago here. I expect us to be significantly faster. Well, we're in lane 8, right? Lane 8 against the wall is not a great lane, if you will. Well, it is if you can get ahead, right? So that's just part of how can we find a way? Does that change our strategy? Do we tweak something? And then not only that, but if, account for the waves, right? If you're in the middle of it, there's going to be a lot of chopped water in the middle, and you got to be able to go with somebody. If you think of freestyle relay, for example, well, the middle guy, that third guy, that has to be a good underwater guy because it's going to be a lot of chop going on, right? The waves are going to be everywhere. So we'll go with an underwater guy to be able to get under those waves a little bit. So there's a little bit of understanding the strategy. At the end of the day, you go with your best 4, and we're in a great situation where maybe the number 5 and 6 in a lineup, or 4, 5, and 6 could be interchangeable, and it's who's hot that day. And I think our team really understands, we always say the hot hand gets the spot. You're having a great meet. Maybe you don't have a time in that event, but we've been known to make those decisions and go with the person who's hot.
You're one of the longer tenured guys in this athletic department, and you've seen the ups and downs of college sports, and especially here. From your standpoint, watching the program, this athletic program now as a whole, and with football having successful years now, 3 or 4 years in a row, and basketball kind of being, as they say, back, how much does it help the other sports in your sport?
Yeah, it's a huge impact, right? I think there's a vibe, there's a positivity, honestly, in this community, right? You go to the grocery store and you go to the barbershop and people know you, know that you coach, and that's what everybody wants to talk about, right? In a good way. About what's happening internally. So I think it's first and foremost credit to our leadership and Josh Hurd, and I have the benefit of having known Josh way before he became an athletic director, and he's a fantastic guy and who gets it, understands it. I don't envy his position these days when it comes to some of these new things with the house settlement, and I have a different hat, Jody. I'm president of College Swim Coaches Association right now. What a time. And there's some discussions happening at all sorts of levels that these changes are going to be impactful, right, to Olympic sports particularly. And so, how do we position ourselves? What adjustments we have to make? We have to make some, absolutely. But it's definitely something that we're aware, right? But in 22 years that I've been here, I've seen a little bit of everything, right? And I think for me, obviously, we live in our own little cocoon there at the Ralph Ryan Auditorium, and but really, ultimately, there's a lot to be said about being part of a vibrant, high-achieving athletic department. You're walking around, everybody around you is a winner, right? The coaches, the athletes, the administration, everybody feels that. Like, this is a winning mentality, and that's absolutely contagious, absolutely.
You mentioned as an Olympic sport, like you guys are positioning yourselves to be in the best position when this House settlement comes down. How fast is that timeline to adjust do you have? Like, is it weeks, months?
It's kind of now, right? It's April 7th, right? The final judgment. But by all accounts, I think we're all preparing, around the country that these changes are real and they're coming. And again, I fully support, right, from on a personal level, the revenue sports, and yes, they should take their cut. I think that the challenge is the pendulum. Where does it stop, and where do Olympic sports fit in that equation? I think my slight concern, just again let me put my president of College Swim Coach Association hat on now, not from a U of L standpoint, but just overall for the sport. I think the pendulum has swung a little too far on the other side, where the value of a swimming program, you could name a sport in there. I think it's I don't know that it's changed, but it's certainly looked at it differently now, and that's the challenge we face, right? So my role is, how do I continue to elevate, right, internally, and certainly as the president of College Swim Coach Association, but certainly it starts internally here in my own home. How do we continue to elevate our program? And the track record speaks for itself, but we're hungry for more, right? So what can we do? How can we contribute with team players too? What role can we play as a sport, swimming and diving, in the overall picture, and help our department continue to thrive, right? Not survive. There's none of that here, right? How do we continue to thrive?
Does it help coming off of a Paris Olympics where the entire world saw the impact that college athletics had on those Olympic sports, and Katie Ledecky, famously from Stanford, to see that on that level?
Can I ask you that question? Do you think it helps? Right? It should. I don't know that it does. Full honesty. I think this moment is such a unique moment in time, right? This is a transformational moment for collegiate athletics, where I think, everything has been, I don't know, say maybe challenge, or there's second guessing going on. Do we need to do this? Do we need to do that? How do we continue, again, to thrive? So, again, my role in this moment is to, how do I do everything I can within, again, my role here, to position our sport to continue to be, a sport that we can all be very proud of. And certainly the achievements, again, speaks for themselves, and we have a few trophies to show for, and that's nice. It's always nice. But it's much more than that, right? It's a student-athlete experience, and so it's a fine line, right? Because I think for so many years we talked so much about the student-athlete experience, and the reality is that sentence, I don't think, applies anymore, right? Applies to some things, but not to everything. So I think it's just a change. It's just a change, and I'm coming to this with a mindset of abundance, right? I love what we have here. I'm so grateful that I get to be part of this. 22 years now. The support is good. How do we continue to get better and maximize the things we do have, right? So that's what I get up and go to work every day with, that kind of mindset, and hopefully that permeates to my team, to my staff, right? That we're looking for ways, right, to continue to get better. And the approach has been the same: humble and hungry, humble and hungry.
I'm going to cut it off because Jeff is scheduled to run at 12:30.
Put them on. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.